What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Sneaker Digest Monday. Now, it is slightly delayed. This is probably going to be Thursday now by the time this video comes out. Reason for the delay, I've been suffering with quite possibly the worst man flu that has ever struck me down in my short time of life. I know it's brave of me to come out here and talk about my battles with such a bad illness that affects 100% of men yearly. But it really did not knock me out. There's a sneaker tournament now, the World's Grand Prix, that I wanted to preview. That wasn't possible when I was pretty much unconscious 21 hours of a day. But we're feeling slightly better now. And let's just go ahead and review what was an incredible tournament and won again by an incredible player. Although, actually, before I do that, I am going to make it about me for just a little bit longer. I previewed the whole tournament a week or so ago, a couple of days before the tournament started, and I predicted all last 16 matches. I predicted the winner of every match, and then I predicted the scoreline for each game as well. And you know what? Some call it psychic ability, some call it just natural talent, but I managed to get 7 out of 8 winners correct. And I got 3 correct scores as well, which, I'm going to give myself a hearty round of applause for. What was the match that I got wrong, I hear you ask? Well, of course, it was me blindly predicting Neil Robertson to suddenly turn a corner and beat Barry Hawkins. That was a match that, I went with my heart. I was blinded by bias. If I'd gone with my head, I would have got 8 out of 8. I did predict 6-3. So, I got the scoreline right, just the wrong way around. And other than that, it would have been a 100% record, and, I would have been cursing myself for not putting a bet on. But, Neil, he's a subject for a completely different video that I think I'll make sometime between now and the World Championship. But that minor blip aside, very proud of my psychic abilities going into this event. But actually going into reviewing the tournament as a whole, there is only one place to start, and that is with Ronnie O'Sullivan. This channel kind of feels like it's becoming the Ronnie O'Sullivan show recently, which was not the intention. I wanted this to be a all snooker inclusive channel. But he's just dominating at the moment. Obviously, he had his documentary out at the start of December. Then came the UK Championship, which he won, and now comes the Masters, which he's winning again. There are no more words. I'm pretty sure I said this in my UK Championship review, but there are none. Look, his record speaks for itself. He had picked up his 8th UK. He's now picked up his 8th Masters. The potential of going to the World Championship, not only completing the season Triple Crown, but beating Stephen Hendry's record, getting an 8th there as well. Dare I say it, it kind of feels written in the stars that he is going to do it. Obviously, still a lot of snooker to be played between now and then. He's going to be the man to beat there. But focusing more recently, this was an interesting tournament from Ronnie, actually, because there were parts of the tournament where if you didn't watch snooker and you weren't familiar with O'Sullivan, you'd kind of just think that man is not interested at all in this tournament. But he still picked it up at the end of the week. I think his first round match against Ding was probably the best that he played. I think he had about a 96% pot success rate in that match. And the only real mistake I can think of him making was he missed a really easy red to go 5-0 up. And after missing that, Ding kind of grew in confidence a bit, and then obviously made that wonderful 147. And O'Sullivan responded to that by making a massive century of his own and then winning the match in the next frame. He's got a lot of respect for Ding, so I don't think he was ever going to play in that sort of all-out ridiculous attack that he played for a lot of the rest of the tournament. But then, I watched that match and I kind of thought, wow, who is stopping him? Like, if he's playing like that, you're going to need your Judge Trumps and your Mark Selby's to really step it up here. But then he kind of fell really flat. Against Barry Hawkins, the error started to creep in. He was 3-2 down. Somehow he wasn't 4-2 down. And then in the next frame, Barry Hawkins really should have won that as well. So, he found himself 4-3 up when Hawkins really should have been 5-2 ahead. And then from there, he just kind of found another gear again to win that match comfortably. And then there was the semi-final against Sean Murphy where, he kind of played a few loose shots against Hawkins, but it was against Murphy where it was literally just all-out attack, just playing ridiculous, cross doubles. If it was possible, he was going for it, no matter what the shot, no matter what the risk attached to it was. And look, it was a laugh to watch. If you're watching pretty much any other professional in the tour, and a lot of the pundits in the BBC box sort of pointed this out, if it's any other player, you're desperate to criticise them and think, what on earth are you doing? This is just so amateurish the way you're playing here. But because it's O'Sullivan, he kind of does get that free pass just to do whatever he wants when he's on the base. And yeah, he against Sean Murphy, I don't know how he was 3-1 up. He was just going for everything, and I do think Sean will be a little bit disappointed. I know he came out in his post-match interview and said, I feel like I played pretty well. I just played up against an unstoppable player, O'Sullivan. And obviously, the player himself is the best player to know how well or how badly they played in the match. But I certainly think that Sean wasn't quite at the level he was in his previous couple of rounds going into that semi-final. And it's just that reputation thing, isn't it? That O'Sullivan holds. I think this is the reason why O'Sullivan holds 23 of these majors. It's not... I'm not saying he's fluked them, not by any stretch of the imagination. But he's not won all 23 by playing incredible, free-flowing, genius snooker. Sometimes he just wins them by the fact that he is Ronnie O'Sullivan, and players seem to be beat before they've even got onto the table to play him. Murphy's got a nasty record against O'Sullivan. So does Ding, so does Hawkins, and so does Ali Carter. So does 99% of the tour. Only players that I can think that sort of really stick it up to him on a regular basis are Selby and Trump. But, that reputation thing, and then you add into the mix the fact that he is going to play any shot, which probably rattles your opponent a little bit, because it feels like you're being disrespected. The fact that you're playing in the second biggest tournament of the season in a huge quarterfinal, semi-final or final, and you're just watching your opponent play like he's down the pub after a couple of beers. That must sting a little bit. But yeah, semi-final wise, I feel like Sean Murphy really missed a trick, particularly early on in the match. He was 3-1 down. Okay, he made 2 centuries in the match, but he also made a few uncharacteristic errors. And that you just can't do that against O'Sullivan. But going into the final really was a really good final. Going into it, I fancied Ali Carter heavily, and then I looked up the head-to-head again. I knew O'Sullivan's head-to-head was good against Ali. I didn't realise, or I think the fact that I'd forgotten completely that Ali had only won once in 19 matches against O'Sullivan. 18-1 is a horrendous head-to-head. I don't care who you are, and I don't care who you're playing. To win 1 out of 19 matches is insane. And obviously that one match came at the Crucible, which is even more bizarre. But I was really enjoying Ali. Not just this tournament. For the past 12, 13 months, he's been really, really impressive. His scoring's become heavier. And what's so obvious is when I watched Ali, I always saw him as a percentage player. He was always in the Selby mould. And the fact that, he was always seen as, tenacious both off and on the table. He'll grind you down, and then he won't take any risks. That's kind of changed, I think, for the better, really, for Ali. it's more of a fact of him being slightly more open, slightly more attacking, trying to get the balls open as early as possible, going for the long pots when the long pots are available. You know, when I say the old Ali, if he was faced with a long pot to get himself in or a really easy safety shot, he would pretty much always take the really easy safety shot. You know, not wanting to give his opponent any easy way into a match. That Ali's gone. I say that gone. I mean, towards the end of the final, he did go into his shell a little bit, and I think that would disappoint him. But in general, the reason why Ali is doing so well at present is because he's become more attacking. I was really looking forward to the final because I thought, you know, there's obviously a little bit of needle between them as well. And I think Ali's playing well enough and focused enough to capitalise on O'Sullivan's errors. And he was, you know, that first session was, you know, Ronnie doing what he had done pretty much all week and Ali doing what Ali had done all week. And I was saying, if that happens, there's only one winner in my eyes, and that's going to be Ali Carter. You know, he went 5-3 up. Alarm bells start to ring in the evening session when he goes 6-3 up. And as soon as O'Sullivan heard those alarm bells, he thought, okay, right, there's actually a tie to be run here. I probably should tighten it up a bit. And then he just played unbelievable match play snooker for the next sort of 2 and a bit hours. And it's incredible how he's able to do that. He is the only player that can just switch his concentration on and off like a light switch. No other player can do that. And every time you watch any other player's concentration just go in a match, it's gone. It's gone for good. They're not able to get it back because of... That's just snooker. Like, it's so mentally draining that if you've lost your concentration, you've lost your focus, you are not getting it back. O'Sullivan is in a mould of his own when it comes to that. 6-3 down, saw the danger, played a really good 3 frames to get back 6-all. Ali Carter, to his credit, went 7-6 up for the century, making like the record amount of centuries in one Masters campaign. But then that's when the match really sort of tilted. The next 2 frames Ali Carter could have won. Started to miss a few. Suddenly he's 8-7 behind. Suddenly the crowd are getting on his nerves. And you kind of felt like the game had gone. And then it went 9-7. And Ali Carter had chances in that last frame because O'Sullivan was struggling to put the match completely to bed. But every time Ali got back to the table, he just missed straight away. You know, his head was in a jam jar. And that's a shame for Ali because it was a really good week. That's a 4th chance at a major title gone begging. And it's, you know, who's to say he won't be in a final again? But these opportunities don't come around all that often. And okay, it's very unlucky for him to be in 4 major finals and come against O'Sullivan in 3 of them. But I do definitely think that he can probably look back on as being the biggest missed opportunity, because I think that there was a match to be won there. And he weakened at the worst possible time, just as O'Sullivan strengthened, and that's what O'Sullivan's made a career of doing. That's why he is the most successful snooker player ever. It's why he's the greatest of all time. It's why he's got 23 of these things. And, you know, he's just in a league of his own. You know, when it comes to majors in sport, there's no one like him. You know, tennis is the closest where you look at, you know, Federer and Djokovic and Serena Williams and sort of Rafa Nadal and what they've done in terms of majors. But they've all kind of spurred each other on. O'Sullivan's been in the same age bracket as Higgins and Williams, and both of them obviously incredible players, legends of the sport, but when it comes to majors, they are nowhere close to the number that O'Sullivan has. You know, 23 is mind-boggling. You know, I'd say if you got 10 in your career, you've had an unreal career. To get 23, showing no signs of stopping, you know, he's probably going to win at least 1 more Masters. I feel like 8 is coming in Sheffield. Realistically, he could get 25 majors. God, who's going to catch him? You know, you're looking at Judd and you're saying, like, go on, mate. If you start winning a few more, maybe you could challenge him in the back end of your career. But he is just a genius. There is nothing more that can be said. Unbelievable. And yeah, next year probably going to be more of the same.